Warning. This program may contain material of an explicit or graphic nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Broadcasting undead from the B Ward, this is the Post-Mortem Show. I'm Dom.
And I'm JD. And today, we're going to give you our top 5 forced to recast horror movies.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it? Forced to recast?
Forced to recast, yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take some horror movies and we're going to recast vital roles, deleting the actor that portrayed him. So let's say that person never could have done it. It's not a remake. It's the original time frame. Who could have done it better or second best?
Yeah.
So, interesting topic. I am very sick, as you can tell by my voice. I've been coughing a lot, so you're probably going to get some of that in this episode. But the show must go on, Dom. Get up. Come on. Get down with the sickness. So, yeah, top 5. Forced to recast. But before we get to that, we got a little bit of horror news. Horror news.
Recently, it was reported that following the cancellation of Ash vs. Evil Dead on the Starz network and Bruce Campbell retiring from the role of Ash Williams, that Fede Alvarez stated that he would consider making a follow-up to his contribution to the Evil Dead series. A recent Twitter exchange between Alvarez and a fan has concluded with a deal that if Uruguay, Alvarez's home country, wins the World Cup, Alvarez will make a second Evil Dead film. There's been some speculation in the horror community that Alvarez has already started work on a sequel, and that all of these social media exchanges with fans are a lead up to the big announcement. Whatever the case, I've never given a shit about soccer in my life, but with Alvarez's statement, I'm firmly behind Uruguay for this year's World Cup.
So you want another one, huh?
Yeah, I do. I think his contribution, I don't really even consider it a remake. I consider it a sequel set in the same world.
It is really good, but it's been a while, and
I've gone back.
Ash retiring and stuff. I think that they should just let it go.
Yeah,
just let it go. You can make something else. You make Don't Breathe. That was good.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, so I'd like to see some more original, but I'll watch it if it comes out. I will.
Yeah, for sure.
I got some real life horror news.
Okay.
From just today. Saw this live today. President Donald Trump has announced that there will be a 6th branch of the U.S. military, a space force. He said America must dominate space. It will be a separate but equal branch similar to the Air Force. It's the first step towards intergalactic warfare. So
still don't like him.
It's hard for you not to.
No, it's not.
But the Space Force, So I believe that there are aliens out there, Dom.
Absolutely.
And if they are, then they must be peaceful because they would have already killed us, right?
Yeah.
And when we get
they just can't get to us.
When we get too big for our britches, that's when they start to come. Haven't you seen The Day the Earth Stood Still?
I have. I've seen Independence Day.
And yeah, yes, you've seen Independence Day,
yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. We're getting too big for our bridges, and Donald Trump's Space Force going to start intergalactic warfare. And that's the real life horror news.
I want Donald Trump to go to space, personally, for him to go to space, because I know that so much can go wrong in space. And in space, no one can hear you scream. But they might be able to still hear him tweet.
Yeah.
Can you tweet from space?
Probably so. He'd be directly to the satellite.
He'd probably fucking launch a specific satellite into space so that he could tweet from it.
Yeah, probably.
Fuckface. Sam Raimi universe news. Sam Raimi's next film will be a sci-fi adventure starring Ryan Reynolds called The Bermuda Triangle. Reynolds will play a theoretical physicist who ends up accidentally opening a portal to another dimension in said Bermuda Triangle. Inside this mysterious realm are all the people and things that have gone missing within the titular region over the years. While the movie is not going to be a straight-up horror movie, there will be some weird stuff on the other side of the portal, including mutant sharks, Nazis, and hints at something Lovecraftian.
That sounds pretty awesome.
I am excited to see Sam Raimi going back to form.
That sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, he needs to stay with horror.
I'm a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds, too. I think he can pretty much do anything.
I just think I think this might be a little bit too mainstream with him in it.
Well,
because of the Deadpool success and everything like that.
But he's gone back and forth. Like, he's done those, like, huge, big-budget movies, and then he's done these indie movies, and he still just has this huge range as an actor where he can be, like, funny, or he can, like, convey actual emotions. Did you see the movie where almost the whole movie was him just trapped in a box underground?
No, I never saw that. What's it called?
So
Buried or
good,
something?
yeah.
It's actually good?
It was so fucking good.
I didn't watch it specifically because I didn't think he'd be able to carry it, but
Yeah,
maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I like Waiting, but I mean, it's just, he's the same character in every movie. He's just...
Well, he's the same character in every, like, big-budget movie, but when he does the independent stuff, that's where he shows his range. And you know, with this, I mean, it's not going to be like a great acting movie anyway, but he can do the physical comedy that it takes to...
Yeah, I just don't want it to be Lovecraftian Deadpool. You know what I mean?
Right.
So... Well, nearly 40 years after Stanley Kubrick's famous adaptation of The Shining reached theaters, the sequel, Dr. Sleep, has been announced. Adapted from the Stephen King of the same novel, Ewan McGregor will play Danny Torrance, the son of Jack Nicholson's iconic character Jack Torrance.
He hasn't done much recently.
And Stephen King has apparently given the full cast his blessing. Mike Flanagan will direct.
Really?
So this shit's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Dr. Sleep, have you read the book?
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I know the story, and I knew that they were making a movie, but I didn't know about the cast and the directing.
So it centers around Danny, who continues to be traumatized by the events of the Overlook Hotel years later. Having become an alcoholic to suppress the effects of the shining power, the character eventually ends up using those powers to establish a connection with a similarly powered young girl, only to find that a group of people are hunting their kind of people. So if they have this ability, they're being hunted.
So well, I mean, obviously it's set in the world of the Dark Tower too, because that's like a subplot in the Dark Tower.
Oh, really?
Where there's psychics and people hunting them down. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never read Dr. Sleep, but I loved The Shining, and if Mike Flanagan's going to adapt this, I bet it's going to be closer to the book than the Kubrick sequel. But I wish he would kind of make it kind of like the Kubrick version. I love it.
He could pull in elements of that,
the cinematography,
at least visually, because that's what makes the Kubrick movie good. It's not a great script.
Yeah,
you know, it's the cinematography and Kubrick's genius behind the camera. Yeah, I haven't read the book yet. I've always intended to read it and just never got around to it. But I might before the movie comes out, especially if Flanagan's doing it, because that guy is fucking the King Midas of modern horror.
Yeah, it seems like he can do no wrong lately. He's been on a streak.
Yeah.
I want to see him with the gloves off, though, sometime.
Right.
With a hard R.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen a hard R Mike Flanagan movie. Oculus, I think it might be R, but it's like, I want to see him push the envelope a little bit more. He is a little.
If he's doing it with Stephen King story, he could. Well, he did Gerald's Game though, and that was pretty dark.
It was dark, but I mean, let's see him fully unleashed.
Right.
That'd be pretty awesome.
So in a recent interview with Bloody Disgusting, Jeff Goldblum stated that he would be interested in making a follow-up to Cronenberg's 1986 body horror masterpiece, The Fly. Though The Fly 2 exists as an adequate sequel, directed by the special effects artist from the first film, Goldblum really wants to work with Cronenberg again and thinks a story that follows a contemporary relative of Seth Brundle, following in his footsteps, would make for an interesting story. It's been a while since Cronenberg has made a truly disturbing body horror movie, and I would welcome anything that he has to offer in that realm, and would love to see him work with Goldblum again, even if it wasn't on a project like that was related to The Fly.
Yeah, any Cronenberg movie, he can do no wrong for me. Like I said about Flanagan, like he is always, even if it's not body horror, even though that's what he excels at. Yeah. I love his serious tone movies.
Yeah,
that he does,
yeah,
too.
and even like his like B movies, like Existence and all that. Like those are all good movies. He's a very talented director, and he hasn't done a horror movie since like 2014, maybe. I think was his last one.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and Jeff Goldblum hasn't done horror in a long time.
Well, Unearthed Films has launched a streaming service.
Yeah.
Similar to Netflix, but rental, more like Amazon Prime, I would say. It's on Vimeo. You can rent or buy some of the best underground horror. It's called Unearthed Films Extreme Horror Channel. There's dozens of titles already up, including American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Guts and Gore by former guest of the show, Stephen Biro. Also, Phil Stevens' Flowers and Lung. We reviewed on Der Screener Schnitzel. Der Screener Schnitzel. Check these movies out, guys. Support independent horror.
Is it a subscription service or is it a per movie service?
You can rent or purchase on it, but it's a way to stream them. Vimeo is a wide device, Yeah. And with the demonetization of some of the horror YouTube content, as well as Amazon cracking down on content that they deem questionable, it's getting harder for these kind of people, these kind of movies, to make a buck.
You got to do it yourself.
To get on a major streaming platform. Yeah. And Unearth has launched this, so...
Cool.
Support it, you guys. Rent a couple movies a month if you can. And just
support our Patreon so that we can do the same.
Yes, indeed. And we will be doing that. We will be reviewing Unearthed streaming movies as part of our, now streaming and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. That's it for me.
That's it for horror news. All right. Well, we will be back with the good movie and the bad movie. And then... are forced to recast. Is it a top 5? What are we calling this?
I did 5 because that's our
I did
format,
5 too. That's just the format, but our top 5 forced to recast horror movies? Is that what we're calling
our current 5? Because I'm sure we'll revisit this.
Yes, we will.
And I did put them in order of what I thought was actually... some of mine are funny and some of mine are serious, but in order of the ones that I thought were the best.
Yeah. Me too. So we will be back after this. Up right now on the Postmortem Show Patreon, we have Creepy Pastas.
Hey, it's a creepy pasta. That's a spicy horror meatball. We have Postmortem Off Topic. Off Topic.
As well as Strokes Docs. Strokes Docs. We've been sending out stickers to all of our patrons, as well as handwritten letters of love, listener shoutouts.
And if you go check out our music section, you can hear music from Weapon A, Grave Command, Public Defecation, Old Scratch and the Necrophonic Orchestra, and Mechanical Ghost.
As well as the Best of JD Horror Deathmatch Series Volume 1 DVD video download. There will be more! We have shirts coming for our $50 patrons, as well as you patrons that are below the $50 level. We will be giving discounts on the shirts to sell on the website as well. So, more stuff coming, new off-topics, new creepypastas, a lot more on Postmortem Show Patreon.
Thank you if you're a patron, and if you're not a patron, why the fuck not?
Just give us 1 month.
1 month.
You won't be sorry.
It'll change your life.
And you get the episodes early. Forgot to say that.
Yeah.
You get the episodes early every week. We're going to do this commercial every week and kind of update it, so...
Until all of you are patrons.
Until all
so
of you are
patrons. So if you're sick of it, do your part in making us not have this commercial anymore.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. It's time for the good movie. And the bad movie. Okay, we're back with the good movie and the bad movie.
I'll fire this first one off. I don't really have a great movie or a horrible movie. I have a movie that could have been good, and I have a movie that shouldn't have been good but was. So, my bad movie, I will say, is a 2017 supernatural horror movie directed by David Ryan Keith, streaming now on Amazon Prime. It's called Ghosts of Darkness. 2 paranormal investigators are unexpectedly thrown together in the hope of solving a 100-year mystery. Locked for 3 nights in a house with a dark and unsettling past, the 2 investigators must put their differences on the side and work together. Skepticism and showmanship are soon put to one side when the 2 investigators realize there's more at stake than their professional reputation. For once they've stumbled into the real thing, and now their own lives are at stake. So, this would be a movie that I would have entirely skipped reviewing had it not had some redeeming qualities to it, actually, that made it watchable.
Ghosts of Darkness is the worst title ever.
It's a terrible title. But the thing is, I really liked the concept of this movie. It's 2 paranormal researchers, one a debunker, and one a self-professed psychic medium, who's like a total P.T. Barnum kind of guy. And they're tasked with either proving or disproving rumors of an old mansion with a dark past being haunted. Supposedly no one has ever been able to spend more than 3 nights in the house without dying, going crazy, or running away in fear.
Sounds like a Scooby-Doo death metal band.
Ghosts of Darkness. Yeah.
Like an animated, kids cartoon, metal band.
It does, yeah. I feel like they just strung words together to create, ghosts are scary.
Metal.
Darkness is scary, so Ghosts of Darkness. But anyway, the story jumped out and grabbed me personally because I like the idea of like the two kinds of paranormal investigators and like, you know, the clashing styles and all that. And it wasn't found footage, which was another thing that jumped out. It was actually, it felt more like you were watching a play when you were watching it. Like the guy had written the script for the stage and then just made it into a movie. So I checked it out despite the terrible title and the box art. And while this movie was cheesy as fuck, the character of the medium was awesome and kept me interested in the movie. He was definitely the character that the writer-director built the story around, and he was played with this sort of drunk, sleazy charm by the actor who was cast to play him. It's the only film he's ever done. And he was the total highlight of the movie.
Wow. The only movie you ever made, too,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah. It was last year, so I'm sure he'll do more. The debunker character, while less interesting and not played by as good an actor, was also fairly well fleshed out. And they're pretty much the only two main characters in the movie, so the fact that they pulled it off with the limited cast on a single site was admirable. And there were also some decent makeup effects in this movie once they brought in some of the ghosts. It took a while to get there. I think they sank most of their budget into a particular ghost who had half of his face mangled, and it looked really convincing. And it was all, you know, legit makeup. So,
and was it like a ghost that like you can see through? Or
no, it was a person. Like all the
ghost can actually touch you.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually the ghost, at one point, like when they break down the barrier, the ghost can be shot with a shotgun. Like, they become kind of flesh and blood. It doesn't kill them, but it, like, stuns them for a while. So I thought all of that stuff was kind of neat in concept.
So it's kind of like the Frighteners?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the bad. Two things ruined this movie for me. My first issue was the final act. It tried to go Evil Dead with the characters running through the house, blowing away ghosts with a shotgun, and it was a complete tonal shift from the movie, which isn't always bad, like From Dusk Till Dawn or movies like that. But the thing is, the shift never embraced the insanity of the concept. You know, if you're going to go that way, then you should go all the way, you know, or just don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to have things go fucking crazy like that, go fucking crazy with it. You know, and they did have some gore, but they could have totally done more, especially with things that can't really die. You know, they could have really, like, you know, like fucking, like...
Way
like,
insane with it, yeah.
Like Alex,
Beyond Reanimator.
Yeah, or like when Alex Murphy was getting shot in the RoboCop director's cut.
Yeah.
You know, they could have done shit like that to the ghosts, and it would have been great. But they didn't. They were holding back on that. And then the other thing that ruined this movie for me entirely was shitty CG.
Oh, God.
That was contrasted with the good special effects. Like
what
the
do
good
you
practical
expect out of
effects.
a movie called Ghosts of Darkness?
Well,
but shitty CG is what I expect.
I expected shitty CG, but what I didn't expect was some good practical effects. So when they give you the good practical effects, and then they give you this fucking awful CG that looks like... this movie was made in 2017, and it looks like shit from like a 1980s, like... fucking music video,
but not in an endearing way. Though.
No, not at all. It's terrible, and
not in a like tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
Right? Yeah, they were trying to do like this hellscape and this demon in a closet and all this stuff, and like it would have been better if they just didn't fucking show it. If they just hinted at it. You know, that would have actually made this a low-level good movie for me.
Yeah.
But it just absolutely ruined it. I think what happened is the movie got too big for its britches and needed to be wrote back in. Because like I said, if you can't show that stuff convincingly, don't show it.
Don't show it if it's not going to be up to par.
Yeah. This movie showed some promise, but also, like, it showed its ass. You know, it, like, brought all of its limitations to light as the story progressed. I think the director had some good ideas and could make a better movie with some guidance from a more experienced producer, because this dude just basically made the whole movie himself. He wrote it, directed it, and produced it, which is admirable. I'm going to give him kudos for that.
Yeah.
But he needs someone to kind of show him the ropes a little bit. You know, and I think that the fact that this movie had some good ideas in it, but ultimately collapsed under its own weight was really frustrating. But I'd be willing to give this director another chance if he made something else, especially if he worked with the actor who played the medium again, because that guy was totally entertaining. He has 2 other movies out, and I will be checking them out. They're also on Amazon. In the end, this was a movie that I continued to think about after I watched it, so it wasn't a total waste. It was just horribly, horribly imperfect. Not the worst thing I've seen. Was better than what it should have been, but not as good as it could have been. IMDb gave it 4.6 out of 10. We don't have a rating system.
We don't.
We do not have a rating system.
Well, I guess
IMDb gave it 4.6 out of 10, and I'm going to give it 5 out of 10 Donald Trumps being sucked out into the vacuum of space.
Space Trumps.
Space Trumps. Pigs
5
in
out of
space,
10
yeah.
space trumps. All right. My bad movie this week. It's a 2008 documentary streaming now on Shudder. Directed by Aaron Aites and Audrey Ewell. Starring Fenris, Varg Vikernes, Euronymous, Hellhammer, and more. It's called Until the Light Takes Us.
I watched it too.
You watched it too?
Yeah.
So it's interviews and news footage explore the rise of black metal music in Norway in the 1990s, including artists who were involved in suicide, murder, and arson. This could have been so much better than it was. There's several documentaries about this.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the other ones.
I think that this one came out trying to cash in on Lords of Chaos hitting Sundance.
Yeah. So it's just poorly produced. So interviews and news footage explore. Oh, I already said that part. Opens with footage of Fenris from Darkthrone on a train with weird Europop playing.
He's into techno, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird soundtrack choice for the beginning of a movie about black metal.
Yeah.
So through footage, interviews, and pictures, we get the story of the birth of black metal, all the way to when the shit hit the fan. A lot of documentaries suffer for being overproduced. This is just the opposite. The sound design is so poor, we don't get enough actual music. I understand the equipment at the time wasn't up to par with what we have now, but I'm not caring about the video quality at all. The sound could have been cleaned up easily.
Yeah,
if someone would have actually cleaned that sound up in post and redid it for the movie, it would have been so much better. So it's a talking head style documentary with a lot of single shots without a narrator. Definitely would have benefited with narration.
Yeah.
What do you think about this movie?
I was split right down the middle on it. I think that it should have had black metal as its soundtrack because it's about fucking black metal.
Yeah.
And I think that it skated over how much of a piece of shit Varg Vikernes is.
Yeah, it's a shame he's such a piece of shit because some of that early Burzum is sweet.
Yeah. His music was really good, and the thing about Varg is like he speaks very well. And he has like half good ideas, and then they take this hard right turn into fucking Nazism.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit like that.
And all they did was they focused on like that first half of it and didn't really get into his Nazi shit.
To me, like the early black metal has a lot in common with punk, as the music is more effective raw in the recording.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is just anger without social consciousness. Like punk was for a reason, and black metal is a bunch of rich kids that are creating something. They were rebelling against the quality of life being so good.
Yeah, and in the interview with Hellhammer, he even says that.
Yeah.
Like that guy's a piece of shit too. Like when he was talking about he was applauding the guy for killing the gay dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, and it sucks because Hellhammer's been in a bunch of other bands, and they're all really fucking good bands, but I don't want to buy their music because he's a piece of shit.
Want to support those kind of people. Clocks in just over an hour and a half, and although it wasn't as compelling as its subject matter, I wish it was longer because they really gloss over very important things like dead suicide and give it maybe 5 minutes of time when I feel like it's much more important to the story than that.
Yeah.
It's not as objective as a documentary as I would hope. The best serious documentaries to me don't really take a side, but I feel like this was made by fans.
Absolutely.
As like a fluff piece for black metal. I would like it if they would be more like objective and like shit on Varg Vikernes a little bit and stuff, and look at it with the eye of this is what happened. We're going to tell you about it. That's what a narrator could have been. Yeah. Could have been narrated. You know what I wish it was? Narrated by Chris fucking Hansen. Catch a Predator.
Yeah.
Varg Vikernes, please take a seat.
There was one thing that I did like about this documentary, though, and that was the exploration of black metal becoming like a socially acceptable, almost trendy thing in Norway.
Yeah.
And how there's this artist who isn't even a black metal art, like really a black metal fan even. He just makes this pseudo black metal art, and then they pull in the guy from Satyricon, who's like, Satyricons like the pop punk black metal. You know, that's like the equivalent of that. And, like, they couldn't get any of the real black metal artists to support him. So he went and buttered up this dude from Satyricon and got him to do the performance. And, you know, it's like if someone was doing art based on fucking, you know, conflict. And no one in conflict wanted to be involved in it, so they went and got guys from Blink-182.
So, I like a passionate documentary sometimes. If it's one-sided and it's passionate, like, about a subject that we can all agree on, but there's another point here about all this shit that is never explored. This needed two sides. And the murder, church burnings, and everything, I think not glorifying a racist piece of shit like Varg Vikernes would have been a better approach to the documentary. So, well-made documentary can get you hooked on a subject that you had no interest in. However, a poorly made documentary like this one can make you lose interest in a subject you have interest in and kind of want to turn it off and feel like it's an hour and a half, but it's too long, but it's too short because it doesn't have enough information, but it's just blah. It's bland.
Yeah. And too much shots of just Fenriz hanging out and smoking cigarettes.
It's like if black metal bands only painted their faces white without the black.
Yeah.
And they just were mimes instead. That's what this documentary is, so... IMDb gives it a 7.1, which I say is a little generous. I don't think it's terrible, but it could have benefited, like I said, from two sides and better production. So I'm just going to say 5. 5 space trumps.
All right.
What would you give it? You saw it too.
I agree.
5?
I agree. Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
Split it right down the middle.
Yeah, because if it had better production and a counterpoint...
Yeah.
That could have saved it.
So. And I'm a black metal fan. I like that kind of music, and I'm interested in the history of it and the subculture, even though a lot of the guys who were founders of it were total pieces of shit. But it's the same thing. It took a subject that I was interested in and made me all right, when's this going to be over? I can just go read Lords of Chaos and it would be better.
Yeah. You have that?
In my storage somewhere, I think I do.
I got to borrow it from you.
When I get my shit out, I'll see if I can find it for you.
All right, the good movies.
So my good movie is not a great movie, but it's a movie that is better than it had any right to be. 2018 supernatural horror / period piece directed by the Spierig brothers, coming soon to home video. It's Winchester.
I just couldn't do it, Dom.
Yeah?
I couldn't do it, and I'm glad you were the guinea pig for it, but this is going to be a hard sell, Dom.
I don't think you would like it.
This is an uphill battle for you.
I actually do not think that you would like it.
You really?
Yeah.
Just because I don't like the ghost movies?
Right, exactly.
Not gory enough.
Yeah, it's really not gory at all. So I'll just get into it. Ensconced in her sprawling California mansion, eccentric firearm heiress Sarah Winchester believes she's haunted by the souls of people killed by the Winchester repeating rifle. So truth be told, I went into this movie expecting it to be total garbage, and I mainly saw it because 1, Helen Mirren is one of my favorite actresses, and 2, I wanted to laugh at the train wreck. What I got was a movie that was way better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to say right off the bat that it's nothing more than a stupid, silly popcorn jump scare horror movie. But it embraces that concept and never tries to be anything more than that. It was basically a slightly less edgy version of 13 Ghosts. And I'm not saying that's like it's a bad thing. The whole thing played out like an episode of Scooby-Doo, but the ghosts were real. And it was endearing in that sense.
So is this like a family movie?
No, it's PG-13. I think... because it kind of goes back and forth between being like a ghost story and like an early 1800s period piece, early 1900s period piece.
So it'll probably lose kids.
Yeah, it'll probably lose kids. I think teenagers might enjoy it, though, like if they're into ghost movies.
Yeah.
The premise of this movie worked for me. It's based around the story that the reclusive and eccentric Sarah Winchester was constantly building onto her Northern California estate in order to appease the spirits of those killed by the Winchester rifle that was her family's namesake. But adds to the story the idea that she was trying to recreate the rooms to match each room that the victims were killed in, to create a portal to bring these ghosts into the world so she can either help them move on or trap them in there if they're too crazy or evil to transcend so they can't hurt anyone.
Wasn't that same... Didn't that movie... What was that movie that I said I hated and you said that you didn't like? You didn't
Abattoir.
Abattoir. It's very similar, right?
Abattoir, he would actually take the rooms from the houses and build a house out
but
of
I
those
think
rooms.
that they probably made that movie based on the Winchester.
Probably.
She was a real person. The story's been around for a long time. But I just made that connection right now. Like, Abattoir probably took from this a little bit. Huh?
And,
the actual story, not the movie.
Yeah, and this movie did have some elements of Abattoir to it, a little bit. But it had all the good elements of Abattoir.
And I fucking hate Abattoir.
So, but yeah, you hate Abattoir. It introduces the character of a laudanum-addicted psychotherapist who has been sent to psychologically evaluate Winchester by the board of the Winchester Rifle Company to determine if she is still mentally fit to run the business. The psychologist, a skeptic, evaluates Winchester, thinks she's crazy at first, but then begins to believe her as he wanders the house and begins to uncover its secrets.
So you got a flawed hero, huh?
Yeah.
I love a flawed hero, yeah.
His wife was schizophrenic, and he was trying to treat her, and she thought that he didn't believe her about the voices, because he was saying it's all in your head, and eventually she was going to shoot herself, and he pulled the gun away from her, and she shot him in the chest, and he went down, and he was dead for a couple minutes before he could be revived. But when she saw what she did, she killed herself.
Oh no!
So like when he was like healed by the doctors, he had the bullet put back together. and he carried it around with "Till Death Do Us Part" engraved on it, and like he would just like hang out and bang hookers and like do laudanum. And,
Wow.
And yeah, he was a good character, and the actor played him really well.
Who's the actor?
I don't remember his name, but he's not someone I'm familiar with.
Oh, okay.
The movie also ties in the Great Earthquake of 1906 into the story, which in real life did massive damage to the Winchester house, but it creates a supernatural event to tie it to the story. This movie did a good job with all of that, of still keeping it simple. There was a small, pretty predictable plot twist that still made sense within the context of the story, and it didn't get lost on too many details or try to be anything more than what it was. All of the parts were played well. Helen Mirren did the best job, of course. She owned the role, gave it a full performance where another actress might have just phoned it in for a paycheck. And though the characters are entirely different, I relate her performance to like F. Murray Abraham as Cyrus Kritikos in 13 Ghosts, or Jeffrey Rush as Stephen Price in House on Haunted Hill. None of those actors who were classically trained had to play the roles to the level that they did in the kind of film they were in, but they did, and that completely improved the quality of the movie. Yeah, it's like we were talking about with Doug Bradley. Doug Bradley did not have to bring the gravitas that he did to Pinhead.
Yeah, but it made it work. Yeah,
and it worked, and she did the exact same thing. Also, the special effects in this movie are excellent. There was little to no CG, and almost everything was accomplished with practical effects and quick cut camera work.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's the reason I never would have watched this movie, because I was expecting it to be CGI ghosts. That's why I don't watch ghost movies anymore. Mm-hmm. It's not because of the ghost movie. It's because of it's always a lot of CGI.
Right.
You cannot avoid it. It's always so abundant, you know?
The only CGI in this movie, and I actually had to look it up to see if it was CGI because it was that good, is they had like parts of the house that no longer exist, but existed in the 1900s. They like put those in digitally.
Did they film it in the actual house?
Parts of it were filmed in the actual house, and then the parts that like destroyed the house were filmed on a soundstead in Australia.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, they actually got to use the house, and they kind of CG'd in some bits and pieces there that needed to be there. But all of the special effects were accomplished practically. Like the ghost would be just like fucked up looking people walking through the hallways, or like a normal looking guy would be walking around. And then
they're not like transparent.
No, they're there.
Cool. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll give it a chance. I don't know. Probably not, but if I really need to, maybe I will. Maybe if it's Watch This Fucker worthy, then I will. But.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I've got plenty of better movies to show you on Watch This Fucker first. You still need to watch Come and See. But, it's good. So there was a lot of attention to detail with the effects, too. Like, they could have fallen back on shitty digital effects to accomplish everything like every other Hollywood movie out there, and they didn't. And it makes all the difference in the world. There are some flaws here. Some of the incidental characters were hokey. Some of the dialogue was stunted. They tried to sound like old-timey, and it didn't really work. And there were some scenes between the action and intrigue that dragged a little, but ultimately I think the pros outweighed the cons in it. The movie is infinitely better than it had any right to be. It was not something deep or life-changing, but it was enjoyable, quality filmmaking for what it was. And the ending of the movie actually left room for a sequel, which I would watch if it gets made, especially if it's the same cast and directors. IMDb gives it 5.4 out of 10. I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10 Space Trumps.
7.5 Space Trumps. Wow. I did not expect that. I thought you were going to come in at about the 3.4 mark when I first
talked
about this movie.
Yeah, I thought I was too.
Yeah, so... Well, I have a good treat for everyone. A movie that all of our listeners and you need to see. So... 2016 revenge exploitation throwback, written and directed by, in his first feature-length film, Sean Brosnan, the son of Pierce Brosnan.
Really?
In his first feature-length film, he wrote and directed this. He did a couple shorts, but this fucking movie kicks ass. Starring Joe Anderson, Kevin Gage, Candace Smith, and Gary Stretch. My Father Die. Have you heard of this?
Never heard of it.
My Father Die. This is everything I love about revenge movies, about the exploitation genre. It is a total throwback. So, deaf and mute since having his hearing knocked out at the age of 12 years old, Asher has been training for almost 2 decades to avenge himself on Ivan, the man that killed his older brother 21 years ago, and now his nemesis is out of prison. He gets his chance. But Asher's target also happens to be his own father. So his father struck him in the side of the head and took away his ability to speak and hear and killed his brother.
Wow.
Starts off with black and white cold open of some brothers playing in the woods. The older one, Chester, sounds like Matthew McConaughey with a bearskin hat and tells his younger brother, Asher, the joys of sex. He even brings him to watch him bang some skank so he can show him how it works. Just when he was watching them outside and beating off, the younger brother's watching them in the window and beating off, his biker Vietnam vet dad cracks him in the head and knocks him out, making him deaf and mute with like a major roundhouse punch.
Huh.
While the father's friend holds Asher down, he then runs in and catches his older son with the girl and says, "You're cheating on me with my son?" And beats the shit out of this probably like 14-year-old girl that he says is cheating on him. He's probably like 50 or something.
Wow.
Or actually probably like 30 at this point. 50 when he gets out of prison 21 years later. And then beats the shit out of Chester and bites his fucking throat out, killing him instantly. Then we get the title, and the movie is in color now with grown-up Asher. That's the setup for this movie.
Wow, it's a good cold open.
It's a very intense, it's like comedic, and then it gets super brutal, and it's just very unexpected. That's only the cold open. So, one of the best cold opens I've seen in a while. So, Asher's training to fight and kill his dad. There's just one problem. In addition to being a killing machine, his dad should have been a professional boxer, but turned to a life of crime and is a sadistic, violent rapist killer. So he's fighting an uphill battle on this one.
So it's like a dark version of Hot Rod.
Pretty much, yeah. This is like a definitely an extreme Hot Rod. So it's a classic revenge exploitation movie. The violence is swift, brutal, and realistic, and over the top in all the right ways. While this movie's serious in tone, it has some great subtle comedy, and it had me hooked the entire time. There's a cool thing that happens sometimes when you hear like this white noise sound, and you can't hear the people talk because it's Asher's perspective, but not like lame like first person.
Right.
It's just, he's trying to figure something out at the time, and it's just. The movie's directed extremely well, takes advantage of the tropes of the genre. Cinematography is beautiful. It's narrated by 12-year-old Asher, which is a cool thing. Like, the voice in his head never grew up from when he was hit. So even though he was a grown-ass man 21 years after that, it's still his 12-year-old boy voice in his head.
That's the only voice he knows. Because
that's his voice that he remembers. So, all the acting is great, so are the writing, and all the effects are practical. I would say this is an old-school revenge movie with a new level of production, similar to directors S. Craig Zoller from Block on Cell Block 99 and Bone Tomahawk.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Or Jeremy Saulnier from Green Room and Blue Ruin.
Wow.
Sean Brosnan is on that level, and I can't wait to see more of his shit. He knocked it out of the park in his first film, The Son of the Worst James Bond. If you're a fan of any of those, or the genre at all, watch this movie as soon as you can. So, once again, it's called My Father Die.
Wow. I'll check it out.
IMDb gives it a 5.6. I'm going to give it 9.3 Space Trumps.
Wow.
We're launching that fucker nine galaxies away. 9.3 galaxies away.
Into the sun. Awesome. I'm excited to check that out. I bet he has like a lot of rage from his dad being the worst James Bond.
He looks exactly like his dad.
Oh, he's in the movie?
He plays bit parts in other movies and shit too. He's like he's not like a lead actor, but he looks like his dad, but almost like a hipsterish, almost emo-ish kind of version.
Okay.
But
that's funny. Pierce Brosnan, worst James Bond, one of the best video games ever though.
Yeah, for sure. GoldenEye. And you know what, for my money, I say that because that's what people think. But I don't give a fuck about James Bond. Only GoldenEye is the one that's the only good one. So you know what? Best James Bond.
Die Another Day is my favorite.
Best James Bond.
Got yourself
Moonraker is pretty ridiculous,
yeah.
But yeah, GoldenEye spawned the video game. So and it spawned Sean Brosnan.
Have you seen Daniel Craig's James Bond?
No, I haven't.
Check it out.
The last one I watched was the one that was after GoldenEye. It was terrible.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I haven't watched it.
Daniel Craig plays James Bond like in the books, where he's fucking like a brutal sociopath.
Oh, cool.
And his body
Daniel
language.
Craig's a good actor.
Yeah, his body language is excellent, and his fight scenes are excellent. Like his movement, like everything looks like it's stiff. Like he's really punching the shit out of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend his ones. They're worth watching.
All right, we will be back with our Forced to Recast Classics Top 5 after this. We are now taking pre-orders for the brand new Post-Mortem Show t-shirts.
Yeah.
So we have our brand new artwork by Japanese artist Sai Ozawa.
It's fucking awesome.
A multi-headed octopus creature with a suit. Slender Biff, HP Biffcraft, with our heads as well as the heads of some people we talk about sometimes on the podcast. And it says, if it smells like fish, throw the fucker back.
It's classy.
It's very classy.
It's classy as fuck.
It's going to be high-quality American t-shirts with a white and green logo on it, black shirts. For all you fatties out there that want slimming. You don't want that white shirt. You're like me. I only wear black.
Yep, me too. Me too. Yep, and the shirt is going to cost $25, shipping including in the continental United States. But our $50 Patreon patrons get it for free. Our $20 patrons get 25% off. $10 patrons get 15% off. $5 patrons get 10% off. $1 patrons get 5% off. But if you are not a patron and you order this shirt right now, pre-order it by messaging us at postmortemshow@gmail.com or through our Facebook, you will get it for only $20.
That's
you can pay us through PayPal.
Including shipping anywhere in the continental U.S. You can pay us through PayPal directly, $20, including shipping. Or after the pre-order is over, you're going to pay $25. So $5 for the shipping. You're getting the shipping for free for being so loyal that you'll give us money when we don't have anything to give you yet. But we will.
These shirts are awesome, guys. I will be happy to see pictures of you wearing them. And no pants. Straight up Winnie the Pooh.
So go to www.postmortemshow.com or message us on Facebook. Send an email at postmortemshow@gmail.com or just directly send us the money with your shipping address and your size. And if your size is above 2X, you got to add $2.
$2 for the extra X.
Yeah. Or lose some weight. Either way. Lose some weight.
Yeah.
Get down.
I'm a 3XL. Even if I lost a bunch of weight, I still got big shoulders.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And check out this design. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks, guys.
And we're back with the top 5 forced to recast movies. I guess we really don't have a definitive name for this.
Yeah. Alternate reality versions.
Alternate reality recasts.
Yeah.
Top 5. And we're joined by Biff in the studio.
Producer Biff is in the studio.
So I'm going to start us off this week.
Okay.
And I replaced one of mine at the last minute. We didn't do any honorable mentions on this list.
Right.
Let's talk about that first before we start. We didn't do honorable mentions because one of our qualifying factors is that the person must have been like alive and able to do this role at the time, because later we'll do, if they could time travel, whatever, doesn't disregard the time and come up with another top 5. But for now, they have to be around. So I did replace one of mine based on one of my horror news.
Okay.
I replaced one of my top 5s. So I'm going to recast Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers with one President Donald Trump as Lieutenant Johnny Rico. He was alive. He's a little older than Casper Van Dien at the time, but
a little bit, yeah.
And him and Jake Busey very similar looking, so you might have to recast Jake Busey as well. Because Jake Busey looks like a young Trump. But yeah, Donald Trump as Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be tremendous.
Build a wall to keep the bugs out.
The Space Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if he would have been in that movie, he wouldn't need to create the Space Force. Because all he's doing is trying to do any of his childhood
right,
goals.
Exactly, yeah.
I like Star Wars. Yeah. Let's have Star Wars in real life, guys.
Not even Star Wars. I like Star Trek. He doesn't even know it's Trek.
So yeah, number 5, Donald Trump as Johnny Rico.
So for mine, some of them I did funny, and some of them I did serious. This one started out as funny, and then the more that I thought about it, the more I realized it would fucking work. Evil Dead. John Ritter as Ash Williams.
John Ritter
as Ash Williams. Like, at first I was just thinking because he, like, Three's Company John Ritter, because he's a goofy fucker,
Problem child John Ritter.
Yeah, but John Ritter was a hardcore horror fan and did excellent fucking physical comedy.
Have you seen that one? I reviewed it. It's an anthology horror
Where's
movie.
the
Terror
real estate?
Track.
Yeah,
and he's a real estate agent.
I watched it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, and he was good in Bride of Chucky. What was the one where they had the demonic remote control? I think it was just called Remote Control or something like that.
There's Bad Channels. That's something else, though. I know what you're talking about. It's not. Yeah, it's called like Remote or
Yeah.
something TV.
And he plays a bunch of different roles in it. Like he plays a bunch of the different demons.
Yeah.
But like he does it a little bit on Three's Company. But if you watch some of even the movies he was in, he does really good physical comedy. And he fucking takes bumps and like gets hit with things and shit. I think he would have pulled it off. He wouldn't have had the chin.
I think he would have been a lesser.
Yeah.
I think Bruce Campbell.
Oh yeah, Bruce Campbell is that
superior.
role. But
Now, my number 4, controversial because you could say that my new one is superior. You can say the old one might have been better, but because this is something that I think would have worked given the time frame and would have taken this movie up to a next level of mainstream and had a crossover audience that could have made a difference in the late 90s horror scene. So you had Scream, you had all this stuff. Then you had a movie called Tales from the Hood.
Yeah.
Mr. Sims, the host in Tales from the Hood, Clarence Williams III has said that he's no longer acting. What if he said that before Tales from the Hood was made? And what if, based on the success of Friday, Tiny Lister Jr., a.k.a. Zeus, was to play Mr. Sims in Tales from the Hood? Like an elderly Debo. That would be pretty good.
all right. My number 4. This one's a serious one. Nightmare on Elm Street. Jeffrey Rush as Freddy Krueger.
Jeffrey Rush.
As
Wow.
Freddy Krueger. Because that guy can pull off, like in Quills and all of that, he can pull off fucking dirty-ass creepy, but still, like, you want to know what that guy's deal is.
The thing is, though, it can only be Robert Englund. I was thinking about putting, actually, what I took off of my list was Bill Moseley as Freddy Krueger.
I'd watch that now.
I think he would have been good.
Well, now that he's older.
But Jackie Earle Haley is so fucking good in Little Children. He's such a great actor. And you would have thought he could have replaced him just like Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
But then you saw that remake.
And it was terrible.
It was not what it, it missed the mark. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone could do it but Robert Englund.
I don't know. But if there was no Robert Englund ever, if Robert Englund just was not born, if when
that's what, that's the whole point of this.
When Mama England was pregnant, she fell down the stairs.
What about Bruce Campbell as Freddy?
I don't know about that.
I think a little early on here, that would have been too early for him to get it.
Yeah.
Like if it was Bruce Campbell now with what he's got going now,
yeah,
maybe, but yeah.
But I think Jeffrey Rush could have, and I think that if Jeffrey Rush had played Freddy and they still went sequels, it probably wouldn't have been as like jokey as it was in the past because he's such a fucking just intense, creepy dude.
You want to talk intense and creepy? What if we put Christopher Walken as Freddy Krueger?
I'm gonna kill you now. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Wow.
All right. My number 3 is a serious one as well. So, I was thinking a lot about this movie, and I was thinking specifically about this actor, and that I wish he would have done a lot more at this time frame in his life. And I think that if you put Christopher Lee as Father Merrin in The Exorcist,
holy fuck,
instead of Max von Sydow, I don't know if Max von Sydow very, very effective in his role, but if you put Christopher Lee,
it would have
in
been
that
just
role,
as good.
It would have been just as good, but different. And Father Karras as well, a young Harvey Keitel as Father Karras with Christopher Lee as Father Merrin. I think that movie would have been just as good.
Absolutely, it
would have been a lot different, and it would have been just as serious. But yeah, think about those roles.
Wow, that would be good.
Yeah, Christopher Lee, Father Merrin. Harvey Keitel is Father Karras.
Wow. My number 3. This might be a little bit controversial because it's not a pure horror movie, but it undeniably has horror elements, though it's more like sci-fi adventure. And the movie I've chosen is Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And it's funny.
It's got horror elements.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's got the cat and mouse horror game,
Now, and it's funny that you mentioned Friday, because my movie is also related to Friday.
Okay.
Imagine if they had replaced every dinosaur's voice with Chris Tucker. I'm going to eat you now!
So this is your serious guy.
I'm a T-Rex! I'm coming, bitch!
And you think that would be better than your other ones?
I think that would be an amazing fucking movie. I always joke that I wanted to redub Jurassic Park with Lil Jon as the voice of all the dinosaurs. But he wasn't active at this point. So I think
Jurassic Pork.
Jurassic Pork. Sex Roberts starring in Jurassic Pork.
Yeah, Sex Roberts, Jurassic Pork. All right, my last 2 are both serious. So, My number 2, this movie is so underrated. And although we don't talk about it much on the show, I watch it once every couple years. Maybe once a year. Maybe once every 18 months, something like that. But I just can't get enough of it. And I can't imagine how much better it would have been if the lead was recast and it wasn't Nicolas Cage in 8mm. Instead, it was Tommy Lee Jones.
Wow.
No Country for Old Men, The Fugitive, In the Valley of Elah. The best serious dramatic cop, for my money, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
And if he was the detective, the private eye, in 8mm, he would have brought more of a class and a seriousness to the role. Nicolas Cage is ridiculous, as we all know, but all the rest of that movie works so good. And even he does. He is good in that movie. But if it would have been just a better actor in his role, because you got The Machine.
Yeah.
You got the best one, the producer, what's his name? That character actor. He's in The Big Lebowski. He's a Swedish guy.
Yeah.
Lucifer and Constantine and everything.
Jesus fucking Christ. Gabriel,
Peter Stormare.
Yeah, Peter Stormare.
Peter Stormare is so great in his role in that movie. And that movie is great, but if you would have got rid of Nicolas Cage, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones in 8mm.
That would have been good. This one, my number 2, is also serious. And I think it actually would have even been maybe even a better movie. And that's saying a lot because the actor they had in the original movie was excellent. Bram Stoker's Dracula, but Daniel Day-Lewis is Dracula.
Instead of Gary Oldman?
Instead of Gary Oldman.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that would have been pretty comparable. But, yeah, I can't imagine it.
I think Daniel Day-Lewis is probably the only actor who could have taken that character to one more level up.
I just want to see... I tried to actually put him on several lists. I just couldn't imagine him in any of the roles that I picked. But he was on my list of actors that I wanted to insert somewhere in a serious role. And I wish we would have got Daniel Day-Lewis in horror movies.
Yeah.
He would have been so good.
Yeah. I mean, he's still acting. He could still fucking...
Well, he said that Phantom Thread was his last movie ever.
Really?
He said that in interviews. So he's retiring.
Oh, man.
So I don't think we're going to get one. Because I bet if he comes back, it's going to be some Oscar bait bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to come back to make a horror movie. But I wish we would have got some Daniel Day-Lewis horror movie.
Yeah. I could just see him playing a serial killer. Like, in just like an original thing. Like, he would have been such a fucking intense serial killer.
We should have recast him as Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs. It rubs the lotion on the skin. Can't do it. My voice is just so bad right now. I want to feel better, Dom.
Yeah.
And we're sorry, guys. This week might be a little short, but...
yeah, he's sick. I'm in pain. We had a wrestling show yesterday. We did commentary for 2 hours. So
my voice is going out, so... My number 1, another serious pick, and while this can't be considered a classic in some people's minds, I love this movie. I know you're a little on the fence about it at times, but maybe if the effects department would have used the worst CGI ever because of the fact that it was in the 90s, and we would have recast Bruce Willis as Harry D'Amour instead of Scott Bakula, and Crispin Glover as Philip Swan instead of Kevin J. O'Connor.
Holy fuck.
And Doug Bradley as Nyx in Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions.
Wow.
Because Clive Barker, Hellraiser, Doug Bradley ties in. He was also in Nightbreed. Why don't you put him in there?
Yeah. He needs the work.
As Nyx in Lord of Illusions. Harry D'Amour is the private eye, played by Scott Bakula. Bruce Willis would have done a much better job.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Scott Bakula was a little too nice guy.
But, Tommy Lee Jones couldn't do the role.
No.
So that's why he's in the other one. So, and Crispin Glover as Philip Swan, the magician.
Yeah.
Think about his effectiveness. I'm making my lunch!
Yeah.
And Doug Bradley as Swan. So, Lord of Illusions, it has a lot going for it, and it does have some hindrances, Dom. I'll agree with you. Some of the questionable unfolding CGI thing, but and it also the practical gore is good.
It lacked some of the best parts of the short story too.
I need to read the story. I never read the story, and I love the movie because it's from my childhood.
It's in Cabal, the Book of Blood, Cabal. It's good.
All right, that's my number 1, Dom.
All right, my number 1. I'm going to do this one twice, and at first I just did it to be funny, but our conversation that we had just kind of like spurred something in my mind. So I'm going to do the silly one first.
Okay.
My number 1 pick is The Shining.
Okay.
With Rip Taylor as every single character.
Even the little girls.
Even the girls. Even
with the confetti?
Yeah.
Would he still do the confetti?
He'd bust through the door with a fucking axe and go, "Here's Rip!" and throw the confetti. And then he'd be dressed like Shelley Duvall with a panicked face and a knife, but still his mustache. He'd be riding the big wheel down the hall. But
I can imagine Rip Taylor there frozen. Icicles off of his beard. Yeah. I mean, off of his mustache.
Now, if we were tasking this in time, I would do The Shining with Adam Sandler as every single character.
Oh my god.
It'd be the worst movie ever.
That would be the worst movie. Netflix presents The Shining with Adam Sandler.
But, in all seriousness, imagine if they had given the part of Jack Torrance to Peter Stormare.
Wow, that would be pretty good. I don't know. I think Jack Nicholson takes the cake for me on that. Over Peter Stormare. Peter Stormare, great character actor, but the accent and stuff like that, I don't think it needs to be like, here's Johnny because it's Johnny Carson.
Right.
And I don't think Jack Nicholson has that almost like radio-ish kind of voice, and I think you kind of need that. Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis as Jack Torrance.
That would have been excellent too.
Because it's just here's Johnny.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining that I never liked is that in the book, his transition from Jack Torrance, the father recovering alcoholic, to Jack Torrance, the raving psychopath, is gradual, and there's subtle shit that happens in there. And
the facial expressions are very over the top.
Yeah, and there was nothing subtle about Jack Nicholson's performance in that movie, but Peter Stormare does,
or in any movie.
Yeah. Peter Stormare does that simmering fucking like, I'm gonna kill you, but right now I'm sitting here and being quiet so well. Daniel Day-Lewis. Also, I don't think he was acting at that point yet, though. But God, if there was a Shining remake with him playing that role,
we'll get to that kind of ones. Next time we get to this list, we will do. Doesn't matter. You can make him the age appropriate of the character. It doesn't matter. We're gonna take off the reins next time we get back to our recasting. So
okay.
Hope you guys enjoyed our recasting of horror movies. So I still don't know what to call this top 5 by the time the episode is released. Hopefully we will have come up with something to call it, but we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a little bit of a brain teaser for me, especially because I've been busy all week, so I did it all this morning. But, all right, I guess that wraps it up for today. Ladies and gentlemen, please check us out on iTunes and Stitcher. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Give us the 5-star rating there, because while watching us on YouTube is cool, iTunes and Stitcher numbers actually get us things. Also, check out our Patreon, and we're going to have shirts for sale soon.
Yes, we will, and patrons will receive a discount.
And with any luck, by next month, my new album will be on our Patreon as well.
You're going to get that for free as a patron member of the appropriate tier. And, in the words
of H.P. Lovecraft, as he went to NASA with a wrench and some wire cutters and very subtly sabotaged a rocket so that it would get into space and then fail. Because a certain individual is going to be on that rocket. If it smells like fish,
throw the fucker back to space. Space.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part, too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Join the mobile infantry and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship.
All right, now is the time. We like to give shout-outs to our patrons. And Dom's going to do the shout-outs this week.
I'm going to take the reins for better or worse.
For better or for worse. So here we go with our first patron on the list, Mr. Mark B.
Mark B. Do you think B stands for bunch? Do you think his middle name is Funky?
Mark, won't you be my neighbor?
Mark,
I gotta step
if
in
you want to
say,
be my lover, you got to get with my friends.
Friends like our next patron, Miss Eileen K.
Eileen, you give us money, and we give you affection.
Eileen as well, but patrons like you pick me back up.
Ah, that's good.
And we love you for that, Eileen.
Yes.
Our next one, Mr. Raymond V.
Raymond. Mysterious Raymond.
Mysterious Raymond?
Rey Mysterio. I think we already made that joke.
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I think we already made that joke. Rey Leota. Rey Stance. Ray of Light. Death Ray!
All right.
Dom's I got amped.
Fired up.
You do that to me, Raymond. You have that effect on me. The V is for very excited.
Our next one, Mr. Brent W.
Brent. I know what your last name is. I'm not going to say it on the show. But it's the same name as a city here in California. And that city's a very dangerous place for people like you and me to go.
Is it Wood? Is his name Brentwood?
Brentwood. If you ever do porno, Brent, that's your name. Wait. If.
Brent, your patronage gives me Wood. So. And his last name isn't Wood. So don't try to look him up.
Yeah.
Our next one, Miss Tiffany. Single name.
I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
I don't think that's that's not.
No,
Tiffany.
she did. I have seen that Tiffany live in concert at Pride in San Luis Obispo. Oh. She always comes out and does that. And that was her big song.
That was her song?
Yeah. Well, she didn't write it. It was like an old song from like the 60s, and then she covered it. But we're talking about this Tiffany.
Oh,
Tiffany, if you have ever written a song, I want to hear it.
My name is Tiffany.
I hope in my heart of hearts that Tiffany is a 55-year-old Scottish man.
No, Tiffany is a real person.
Yeah?
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
You know, we have international patrons. She's our first one.
She took us worldwide.
And Tiffany, I did ship your postmortem show stickers recently. They were sent back to me because I put the wrong abbreviation for Guam, and I apologize for that.
What's the right abbreviation for Guam?
It's GU.
Good.
And it costs the same amount of postage as a normal letter. When I looked it up, I found that out.
Huh.
When I first sent it out with GA, which is Georgia.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot. I put like 7 stamps on it. Because I didn't know how much it would be appropriate.
Hey, you know.
And I didn't Google it because I tried to ask Jeeves, but I was denied.
Oh, fucking Jeeves. What a dick.
Okay, our next one. Mr. Tim M.
Tim. Hi, Tim. Timmy. I'm falling.
I don't think so, Tim.
I'm shitting the bed on this one.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah, I don't think so, Tim. Tiny Tim. Tiptoe through the tulips. Tim. Tim, you are in fact tiny, and you have a ukulele. Send me a cover of Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Yes, indeed.
We will play it on this show.
We will. Our next one, Miss Michelle R.
Yeah, you know her.
That's it. Huh?
She's just the one I'm marrying.
Michelle, my belle.
You know.
No, that's my French. I don't remember the rest.
I'm gonna share a story of personal tragedy that has a happy ending.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know, my ex-wife, who I was married to many years ago, was a narcissistic bitch. She was nuts, and she was hypercritical of everything. And
she's also our next patron.
She's also our next patron. And she basically demanded that me as a musician write her a love song. I don't really write love songs very well. It's just not my thing. I write from a place of anger when I write music. But I wrote her something, and I put as much of myself into it as I could, and I gave it to her, and she listened to it, and she kind of sat there for a minute, and she said, your singing was a little off pitch. And that was all she ever said about it. And that fucking crushed me. And I said to myself, I am never going to write another song for a woman again, because fuck that. Well, 2 days after surgery, when I was on medication and vulnerable, I started penning all these lyrics, and I was like, holy shit, I've written a song for a woman. And I recorded it, and I played it for Michelle, and she liked it.
What did she say?
She wants to listen to it every night.
She said, you're almost on pitch.
Well, see, I fixed it this time, though. I didn't sing it. I rapped it. Okay. So it was easier. It's going on my next album, by the way, coming out soon. But yeah, I found the right one.
Michelle, thank you for your patronage, but I just have to break the news to you that Dom was a fucking liar. He did not write that song. Biff's paw prints all over those lyrics.
Oh, shit.
Look deep within the meaning. Look deep into his eyes. It's hard to do because they're going different directions. And you'll see the meaning of the song. You'll see it's only from him. Your true love, your secret admirer, one Biff the dog.
I don't know how she couldn't like tell that when there's like 3 whole verses dedicated to the Red Rocket.
Our next patron, now I regret saying that our next patron was your ex-wife because our next patron is Miss Aubrey T.
Fuck that! Jason, there's something I need to tell you.
All right. Our next patron, Mr. Joseph C.
Joseph C. What does the C stand for? Does the C stand for caring individual who has become a patron of the Post-Mortem show?
It's Quilton Joe.
Quilton Joe!
Quilton Joe.
Joe, I have seen your quilt. JD showed me a picture of it, and it is goddamned amazing.
It is very impressive, and Joe, I swear, one of these days, on one of these special shout-outs, we are going to record a Quilton Joe shuffle. We're going to record a Quilton Joe song, and it's going to have a banjo.
If it hadn't been for Quilton Joe, I'd have been married a long time ago.
If it hadn't been for Quilton Joe, there will be no more Post-Mortem show.
I got to get a banjo.
Our next one, The Hero Within.
The Hero Within, clothing line. Go look it up on Facebook. She's doing good things. She is a former service woman and is now releasing clothing for people who are of the same
Did
kind.
she just retire from the Space Force?
She got out before she got sent to the Space Force.
Okay. So she was just in the atmosphere somewhere, and then they're like, no.
Yeah.
Time to retire.
Yeah. Pulled her in.
Retire like she's all old or something. Speaking of old, our next patron is Valerie G.
She's old as shit.
The G stands for grandmother.
We love her. She's
Yes.
also in, somewhere in the vicinity right now.
And we appreciate you patrons. Our pledges, the number of patrons is slowly growing, but interestingly enough, the amount of the patronage is growing faster than the amount of the pledges, and that's something we appreciate
Absolutely.
even more.
Yeah, this is enabling us to finally do this show at no cost to ourselves.
As well as enabling us to give you guys extra content and extra shit.
Yeah.
These shirts are going to be awesome. They're
These
going to be
shirts
the
are
highest
dope as
quality.
fuck.
I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the logo. We've had an overwhelming response to it. We appreciate it. And we've had some pre-orders, so thank you for your pre-orders. And that's going to help us get it done even faster. So these shirts will be ordered in the beginning of July. And they will be out to you as soon as we get them. So
You will have our faces emblazoned on your nipples.
So my printer, Mike, he's usually pretty quick turnaround. He is pretty busy, though. So if we order him beginning of July, you should have these by sometime in August, I would say. So
Before the summer's over.
you'll have them on your sweet, supple flesh.
Ah, yes. Rubbing against your navel in the wee hours of the night.
Before the leaves fall from the trees, my face will be caressing your body.
And Biff's. Biff's face is
Biff's
on there.
face as well. Yeah, you know what? Just the placement of that, if you are a female, you're going to have Biff's head right between your supple breasts.
Yeah.
Now I'm going in directions that this doesn't need to go. So we're going to go ahead and end this shout out because
Before it goes too far.
we're going from appreciation to creepiness.
Harassment,
yeah. Borderline harassment. So. Hashtag.
I mean, I'm not naming any names, Michelle.
Hashtag
But,
not me too. All right. Thank you, patrons.
see you next time.
This smells like fish.
Throw the fucker back. Back. Throw it back.
Throw the fucker back.